Welcome to the Feminine Truth Podcast with Mary Miranda, a place where you can reconnect with your wild, cyclical, and fierce truth. I am Mary Miranda, a mentor, guide, healer, and intuitive coach. I guide women on a journey of remembrance, reconnection, and embodiment of their inner feminine truth. Join me each week to tap into raw, unedited, and unfiltered sacred conversations to help women tap into their inner feminine truth to become bold, unshakable, and apologetic in who they truly are. Let's jump into today's sacred conversation. This is part two of what I wish I had known in my 20s and early 30s for life and love, and kind of like a lessons learned. So I share with you 20 lessons that I learned in the last episode. This is part two. I'm going to be sharing another 20. Number 20, take care of your gut health because it impacts your overall health, mental health, and nervous system. If your gut health is not well, and you have a lot of inflammation, a lot of bloating, it's going to impact your mental health because there's a bi-directional communication between your gut and the brain. And if it's not sending the correct signals, and if it's not working properly, it's going to impact your mental health, especially if you're more prone to depression, anxiety, ADHD, and just mental health issues like I am. It's going to impact you. This is why I eat very clean. I eat the way that I eat, and I do have food sensitivities. So my nutrition is very specific because I know the moment I eat gluten or dairy or like junk food, I know it's going to wreck my gut health, and I know that's going to impact my mental health, and I'm going to be more anxious, more irritable, more moody, more depressed, and it's just going to go chaos. And I still have those days that I'm like, oh my God. And even when I'm more stressed, obviously, I'm more prone to have gut issues because that's a whole nervous system type of issue. But make sure you're taking care of your gut health. Make sure you're taking care of your well being because it really impacts your mental health. And number 21 is going to be work out, eat clean, take care of yourself, and make this a lifestyle and non negotiable. The relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you could have and you will ever have. So make sure you do the best to become your best version every day and to have a beautiful relationship with yourself. So that's taking care of you, that's working out, that's eating healthier, that's taking care of you, doing self-care, whether it's meditation, taking care of your also your past. If you have a lot of trauma or you have things that you no longer want to, like coping mechanisms or behaviors or habits that you no longer want to do, make sure you also take care of that. So that's self-care. Make sure you take care of your mental health. Make sure you make this a lifestyle and things that are non-negotiable. For me, my self-care, my morning rituals and my PM rituals are non-negotiables because I know they make me feel the best when I do them. They make me feel like I obviously take care of me. I'm in my best relationship, and they impact everything in my life. Number 22, show up for yourself the way you wish someone showed up for you. And this is huge because a lot of times we are operating from an empty cup. A lot of times we are showing up for others when we don't even show up for ourselves in that way. We say yes to things, we want to say no. So that means that we're saying no to ourselves. And we're prioritizing and putting everyone first before ourselves. So put yourself first and show up for yourself the way you wish others showed up for you. And this is going to be so healing because if you make a list and be like, how did I wish my parents would have shown up for me? My partner, my ex would have shown up for me. Why do I wish he would have done for me? How do I wish he would have treated me or my parents? And start showing up yourself and giving yourself those things. This is also going to help you fulfill your unmet needs and kind of heal those core wounds. And it's also like very soothing for your inner child when you start doing those things. And this is one of the things that I did to help me heal my inner child and reinforce the relationship I had with myself because I was so disconnected with myself. So when I started doing this, I was like, how do I wish someone would have shown up for me? And I started doing that for myself, and I still do it continuously. Number 23, don't become the type of woman that packs a bag to stay over at a guy's house so fast or all the time, no sleepovers allowed early on. It's a lot of stress, overwhelm, and inconvenience to carry all your things to his place back and forth. Have him buy what you need to stay over at his place and make yourself comfortable. And I feel like if you meet a guy who really loves you and cares for you, like if he wanted to, he would, he is going to make life, he's going to make things easier for you. And if he's not making things in life easier for you, he's not the person for you. And by that, I mean that if he sees that you're struggling with your bag, you're always packing, like, and I'm packing and unpacking, you carrying this, and it's a lot of stress and overwhelm and an inconvenience, he's going to offer, hey, how about I buy you what you need so you don't have to carry all those things with you. He gives you like drawers, or he makes you feel cozy and welcome and safe at his house. And this is going to be for me one thing that I did wrong, with the gym guy that I was talking about in my last one. And I thought this was a green flag. I was like, because he did all this for me. He bought me everything that I would need so I didn't have to carry those things. I was like, of course I deserve this treatment. So I was so happy, but everything was a facade. Everything was kind of like part of love bombing. But make sure you're very discerning when it comes to that, because at the end he turned out to rub all of that on my face, and he turned out, and it just felt like when I couldn't and I didn't want to spend the night, he would be upset, telling me, why not? You have all your stuff here. And it was kind of like, it felt very coercive, controlling. So I know that I don't want to go through that again. I hate packing a bag. I hate having to carry all my things. It's an inconvenience. It's stress. It's overwhelmed. I deal with anxiety. I don't want to have more anxiety and stress in my life. So if this person is not making things easier for me or for you, then he's not the one, or he's not for you. Or you have a conversation with him and you say, hey, every time I pack and I have to unpack, it's a lot of stress and overwhelm, and I just don't like how it makes me feel. Is there any way you can help me buy things so I could have them at your place so I don't have to carry all those things with me? And see how he reacts to that. And that's probably going to tell you a lot if he is the person for you or not. Number 24, if a man can't pay for you on a first date, you need to think if he's the man for you. You need to think if you want a 50-50 relationship, or if you want more of the provider type of guy. Don't put up on a first date what you are not willing to put up with the rest of the relationship, because the way the first date goes, it kind of sets the tone for what you are going to accept or not, or put up with or not. And for me, I've never had this issue. I've always also come from a culture that the man is very the provider type, the man always pays. Like, I've never even had to even think about it. So, like, even whenever I get asked on a first date, obviously I go through a process that I make sure he's the right person. And I actually do want to get to know him more on a first basis. We're in alignment. We have similar values, vision for life. We're very similar now. So for me to say yes to a first date takes a lot, but I've never even had to think about who's going to pay. Like, I just have this belief system, and I just have this that the man always pays. And I've never even have to think about this until I started watching on TikTok the debate around this. And I'm like, I've never even had to think about this. And that doesn't mean I come from an entitlement type of energy. It's just something that I honestly never even have to worry about, think about. I just always assume and expect that the man is going to pay. And I expect that. And the thing is that when a lot of times men are like, oh my God, you're just like a gold digger. You just want, it's all about the money for you. I'm like, okay, once I'm in a relationship, like if I'm gonna cook at my place or his place, I buy all the things. I don't ask for money. And there's times with exes that for their birthdays, I'm the one that pays for everything. I've spent a lot of money, but I've also been financially abused in past relationships. So I already know what I don't desire, and I already know my standards. So this is a huge standard for me. If I ever have a man that tells me that to split the bill, or to or that he's not going to pay on the first date, one, I'm not going to go out with him beforehand. And two, if he asks me to split the bill, I'm just going to say no. Or I'm going to be like, oh, you know what? I can take care of it and I will pay and I will never talk to him again. But that's never been the case for me. So make sure you're very discerning what type of man you want to attract. Number 25, a man that hates you will start to treat you badly, withdraw his affection if he was using you, if he was using it as a facade or wearing a mask of who he is or who he is not. If he wants to teach you a lesson, run. And there's a lot of men like this that they just kind of want to teach you a lesson so you learn and that never happens again. Kind of like a, it feels very manipulative, very controlling, and like they don't think you're smart enough to know. But I feel like progressively, when a man really hates you, he starts treating you bad. He starts doing things. He starts withdrawing his affection. He starts throwing things in your face, and you realize that everything at first, his affection, his love bombing, his gifts, everything was a facade, and he was wearing a mask of someone he truly is not. Because the more you get to know him, the facade and the mask comes off, and you start to seeing who he really is. And this person is just not a good person. It's not the person for you. So if a man starts to pull away, withdrawing his affection, treating you bad. And I say this more because there's avoidants who are not abusive or anything like that. There's men who are avoidants who kind of pull back and start ghosting you. I'm not really talking much about those. I'm talking about the men who really start putting you down, calling you names, being passive aggressive, being very controlling, very misogynistic, and all those things. And you're like, and you know, the emotional abuse, the gaslighting. I'm talking about those type of men, but also obviously the men that ghost you, that's something to consider too. But the men that want to teach you a lesson, those are not the men for you. Please run away from those. Number 26, if a man threatens you with slander or defamation because you are choosing to talk about your experience, what you went through in that relationship up openly on social media, for example, um and you are choosing to share this experience from a place of you want to help others, you want to help other women not get through the same experience, or you want to show them how you move through that experience or what you learn from that, and it's coming from this genuine place of helping others and there's no malice intention, then that man cannot threaten you. Because um his identity, especially if you're not saying anything about his identity or who he is, and your motive, like I said, is very good, is genuine, is to help others, no man can threaten you for sharing your story, for speaking up. And the men that do is because they still feel that they can control you, and they still feel that they are the center of your world and your universe because you're talking about them. But in fact, you are talking about your experience, you're talking about what you went through, you're talking about how you moved through that. And maybe you are also looking to connect with other women who are going through this so you can build a community. So if a man is making threats with slander and defamation, and you have not even said his name, you have not even mentioned who he is, no identity can be revealed, he has nothing on you. And this actually happened to me this year when I shared some text about that person that I kind of briefly was talking to. He threatened me with defamation and slander, and I'm just like, your identity is not even shown. And I said to him, like, you're no one, and you have no right to be making threats and calling me and telling me to take down my video. You give me an hour, otherwise you're gonna call the cops on me. You know what I did? I ended up filing a police report because he called me to make threats against me. And the cop told me, but you didn't say. He said that I had nothing to fear. So just make sure also the legalities within this, because if you do say his name and his identity is revealed, and the motive is shown to be malice because you are coming from this vengeful energy, that can actually certainly be a slander and defamation, and they can definitely sue you for that. But if you are doing it with the intention to help others, that, and honestly what you are sharing is the truth, then they cannot have any say on you. So I don't know. This is something that I learned this year. And I know there's a lot of women who share their stories openly, what they've been through, and the ex finds out and they make threats to take the video down or to they're gonna sue you with defamation and slander. They can't, they really can't. Make sure you also seek lawyers if that's the case. Number 28, the nice man often turns out to be a low key toxic narcissist. The nice man often turns out to be not what he is. So make sure you're very discerning and get to know someone really well. And it takes about a few weeks to get to know someone's true colors. So a lot of times, the nice man, it's just a facade and they have a lot of internal turmoil and they're actually not the nice man. And I've met a nice man. I thought he was a nice man and it turned out to be that he wasn't. It turned out to be he had a lot of anger issues. He had a toxic relationships and so many other things. And I'm just like, so it's just a facade that you try to be this nice man because it makes you feel good about yourself, but in reality you are not. And the other day I was actually showing someone my ex because he was like telling me, I was telling him about my journey, how I started and the narcissistic abuse and how I dated someone who was in the public eye. And this person is like, oh, let me see his picture. And he looks at this picture and he's like, he looks like a nice man. He looks like a nice person. I'm like, you would think he is, but he wasn't. And obviously it's a facade because of the public figure status, and he has to portray this identity on social media, on TV, on radio. And it was really hard to heal from that, seeing how what everybody thought of him, but what I experienced and other exes experience behind closed doors, he was completely different. So make sure you get to know the person and you know your non-negotiables, your red flags, and you are become very discerning when it comes to red flags and all of that, because that's really going to help you. And things will always fall off. Like the mask is always going to fall off if this person is just trying to pretend. Okay. Number 29, sorry. Walk away from one-sided relationships with women and those women who always say friends don't exist or women are the same, women are too much drama. And women actually say this, and I'm specifically talking about female friendships, that if you are meeting a woman who says, oh yeah, I know a lot of women don't have a lot of friends, and that doesn't mean that it's because of her specifically. Maybe it's because she values a close group of friends more than anything. Like you don't really need to have a huge group of friends to be a good person or to be seen as a good person. And I know I've met a few women who have shared this with me this past year, that I try to be friends with them and they turn out to say, oh, you know what? Oh, women are always disappointing. Women always kind of abandon me. Women are just so much drama. I can deal with women. And like she started, like this woman started saying all these things about women. And I'm just like, I don't want to be friends with someone who thinks about that, because I believe that they're really good women who can be really amazing friends. And I walked away from an 11-year friendship because she was texting with my ex and other things that happened with that person and my ex, that I just decided that I'm like, you're not a good friend to me anymore because you violated the girl code. And it's just, I had to walk away from that, but that didn't make me not believe in friendships anymore whatsoever. I still believe that they're really good female friends and I have those female friends. And I don't want to be with someone who thinks like, oh, women are just drama, women are just too much, women are this, women are that. Because I'm like, oh, that's probably gonna what you are gonna end up saying about me. So I don't want nothing to do with you. So if it's a one-sided relationship that they're always the one texting, always the one asking how you are, and they never really care to ask about your life, they're never really there for you emotionally as a support system, why do you want to be friends with those? And just make this test. If you have friendships and you feel you're the one who's always kind of looking for that person, pull back, stop texting them, and see what happens with that relationship. Because more often than not, you're probably not going to hear from that person again. So if you value friendships, you make sure you're very discerning of who you allow in your circle, because like I said before, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with and talk to and interact with the most. And it doesn't have to be physically, it can be just through text because you can see each other. and and just be very discerning with that. Number 30, put yourself on a pedestal and don't calm down. Never put yourself off or take yourself down the pedestal. You deserve to be high and honor yourself. Number 31, choosing to be single can still have glimpses of feeling lonely and desiring a relationship, desiring to be in love and to find someone. You can choose to be single and still feel all those emotions, but not settling will bring comfort, and knowing that you can choose to be single and still have your heart wide open and desire a relationship, but that it's also not your main focus. You're also like enjoying your life. You're also creating other experiences, working on other areas of your life. But it is completely okay if you are single at this time and still have that those moments that you miss, you had someone, that you wish you had someone, that you wish you had a relationship. It's completely normal to still have some moments you feel lonely, even though most of the time you don't feel lonely. It is completely okay and normal. Okay, number 32, don't be don't be a cheaty and emotional absent parent to your inner child. And this is huge because a lot of people are not doing the work to reconnect with their inner child, don't have a relationship with their inner child, are not doing the healing work to fix that relationship and to reconnect. So don't be a cheating and emotionally absent parent to your inner child the way your parents were with you. And this is going to be huge because a lot of times when we are not connected with ourselves, it's because we're also not connected with our inner child, and maybe we're emotionally unavailable to our inner child. We have abandoned, rejected, we don't treat our inner child well. So maybe you have a similar relationship that you had with your parents, but now you have that relationship with your inner child. And this is one huge thing why I also decided to be child free and not have children, because I am still reparenting my own inner child. And I didn't want to put a child and bring a child into this world just because I wanted to be a mother. I never wanted to be a mother. But you know how society pushes that agenda on women, and your biological clock is ticking or whatever. And I was just like, okay, the way the world is, I, one, don't want to bring a child into this world. Two, I'm still not healed from a lot of things that I don't think I could be the best parent that I could. And I know being a parent requires a lot, and I was not willing mm, to not have that freedom and independence that I love having. And I was not willing to give up the relationship I have with myself. And I was like, okay, there's some days that I have been a shitty and emotionally absent parent to my own inner child. So let alone a real baby, a child of mine, that's not going to happen. So that's a huge focus. So make sure you reconnect with your inner child and you do the inner work. And the way you have a relationship with your parents is going to reflect a lot of the relationship you have with your inner child too, especially if you have not done the work to heal it. Number 33, if you have an anxious attachment in love and relationships, you probably have the opposite with yourself. And you know how anxious attachment people attract a lot of the avoidant attachment. Well, you have that relationship, the opposite of what you are with yourself. And what I mean by that is when you are looking inward, are you emotionally unavailable with yourself? Are you ghosting yourself? Are you inconsistent with yourself? Do you kind of withdraw your love to yourself and you treat yourself bad? You have commitment issues with your own self. You don't set boundaries with yourself. And this is going to go along with number 34. If you are in a situationship with someone, you are probably in a situationship with yourself. And but it's the same thing. They both go hand in hand, although they're a little bit different. But if the way that you are in a situationship with someone is probably the way you are in a situationship with yourself, you're ignoring yourself, you're putting up with things that you would never put up with, you don't take care of yourself, you are in this dramatic state, you are like I said, it's the same thing, you don't have a good relationship with yourself. So make sure you are very discerning on who you date. And I figured a lot of my lessons have come from love and relationships because unfortunately that was my focus for so many years of my life. So I have learned a lot, but these are things that I have learned so much that I just wanted to share with you. Number 35 is alcohol and first dates don't go hand in hand. And I'm going to explain to you why. It impairs your judgment and they get an enhanced version of you that is not really true and is not really your daily self. For example, I'm not saying that it's bad to drink on first dates, but it's bad if normally if you're an introvert, you're very shy, you don't really open up a lot, you're not really like that bubbly, excited, that you're more like on the introvert side, you're more calm. Alcohol is gonna enhance and it's going to make you feel obviously more confident than you are, more bubbly, more open, more extroverted. And this person is probably gonna get an impression that that's who you really are. But when you are hanging out with this person in activities that are don't involve alcohol, this person is gonna get to experience a different version of you and be like taken back and be like, wait, she's so quiet, she's so shy, she has nothing to say, she's not that talkative, she's not open. What happened? And this person is gonna be kind of like thinking like, this is not the person I met on our first dates, because alcohol impairs and enhances your personality and an untrue version of you that can only be accessed when you are under the influence of alcohol. I don't know if that makes sense, but make sure also it applies the same thing with this guy. Maybe he's also showing up as a version of him that is enhanced and not true to who he is on a daily basis. So this is something to think about. Number 36, never chase or pursue an ex back. Don't manifest an SP or specific person or an ex back. If it's already out the door, don't look back. Anything that stayed in 2023, it stays there. Don't bring it back to this new year. If it didn't work out for the first time, why would you put yourself through the same thing? Why would you go through the same thing again? You know, because a lot of times the first days it goes well and then they revert back to their toxic behavior. So don't, you deserve better. Okay. Number 37 is be your biggest fan. Always be your hype woman. Always be your number one fan for everything that you do. And this is also kind of going to help you with not wanting the validation and approval of others when you are your biggest fan, when you believe in yourself, when you root for yourself, when you're excited for yourself. Because a lot of times others are not gonna do the same thing for you that you wish. Like your parents are probably not gonna support you, your siblings, your friends, the way you desire. So you have to become that person for yourself. Number 38, budget and take care of your finances, savings, high yield savings accounts, things like that. I am not a finance expert or anything. I do follow some people that I know, and I actually do have a budget kind of spreadsheet templates that I use because I take care of my finances. And I wish I had started in my 20s. I wish I had started taking care of my finances. Maybe I would have my own home now. Maybe I would own something like a real estate or whatever. Make sure you start taking care of your budget and your finances, especially if you have student loans or debt or anything like that. Don't overspend credit cards. And if you need help, find the people that are experts on this. There's so many on TikTok or YouTube that are finance experts. There's a lot of women in their 20s that are teaching finances. Like I follow one and I bought her budget template from her because like I liked it. I was like, okay, you know what? I always track things on Excel, but I create my own templates and I like the one that she showed. So I bought it and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm buying something from someone in her early 20s. But I wish I had been her in my 20s, to be honest. So like I kind of admire her. And even though I'm almost in my 40s, you cannot come from this place of jealousy or envy when you see women in their early 20s doing what you wish you had, or having the mindset, the emotional intelligence, the lifestyle that you wish you had, because you have a different path. Okay. And this is, I guess, like this can also be be important if you, I don't know, I should have made this like I should have made this point too. So let's actually go to number 39 about jealousy and envy. This was not written, but I just thought about it, that a lot of times when we have jealousy or we're envious of another person, especially a woman, we are taught by the patriarchy of being competitive and always see women as other competition. And this is rooted in patriarchy and other things. But what you need to look at it, a lot of times when we feel a little jealous and envious of another person, especially another woman who is ahead of us, more successful or whatever, and you feel those feelings of jealousy and envious, they're completely normal, trust me, because maybe you're like, oh my god, I wish that was me, I wish I was ahead of time. And I've experienced those when I see women in their early 20s who have a better mindset. Well, I have the mindset now, but I wish I would have had that mindset in my early 20s. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe she's 22. I can't believe she's like 23 and has that mindset and emotional intelligence and knows about all these things about boundaries and red flags and relationships. Like, oh my gosh, I wish that would have been me, and has like her finances right. When you feel those feelings, a lot of times it's because you admire that person, but your ego doesn't want to let you admit that. But she has qualities and the life that you wish you had, because but the universe is showing you that that's also available for you. It's showing you that you can also harness those qualities and work on those, and they are just a mirror, they're just a reflection of something that is within you. You just need to kind of work on it for it to come out, those qualities to come out, and own them, and see that person as, oh my God, I admire that person, because that's going to sort of like help you with the feelings of jealousy and envy that honestly, at the end of the day, they're just a projection, and it's something that it's all about the ego, and it's something that you wish you had within yourself, but it is within you, because everything, it's also a mirror. So if you're seeing that woman, that's because you're capable of having those qualities. You just need to work on those qualities. So that's something that really helped me with jealousy and envy and things like that. So let me know if that resonates with you. Number 40, work on your goals and vision for life. Leave and say no to what doesn't align with you. And that means the job, relationships, move the needle forward with the goals that you desired, and don't stay stuck in things that are not in alignment with you, that are not conducive to being the best version of you, are impacting your mental health. And prioritize your goals in every single area of your life. I cannot emphasize this enough, and I wish I would have prioritized this in my 20s, but I didn't. And I regret it? Of course I regret it, but now I'm here and I'm teaching you and I'm sharing things that I wish I would have known in my early 20s, to be honest. And that is work on every area of my life, knowing what I desire, my purpose in life. Well, the purpose in life kind of comes with years, but having a vision for what you desire for your life in every single area of your life, having a focus on that. I think there's if you Google Wheel of Life, I believe it's one of this pie chart that gives you different areas of your life, and it kind of makes you rate from 1 to 10 how you feel about each area of your life. And that's when you start creating goals to improve those areas of your life. So make sure those are a priority. Number 41, your worth and value is not defined by what you do, your accomplishments, and your sacrificing. It's also not attached to if you own a home, if you have a relationship or not, or if you have all these achievements and accolades. Your worth and value, it's not defined by that. Your worth and value is innately inside of you for who you are as a person. And number 42, and I feel like I kind of touched on this, but the relationship with yourself is the most important. And I know I said it, but I needed to end on this so you can actually like really, really remember this one. The relationship with yourself is the most important. If you are not happy with who you are, you get to change that, and you get to have a choice to work on that. You find the people that are going to help you, the books, the coaches, the therapists, whatever it is that you need. but prioritize the relationship with yourself. If you don't like some aspects of you, some things that you do, some behaviors, some habits, you can change those. You can change yourself if but you have to choose that for yourself and always prioritize the relationship with yourself. Those are the 42 things that I wanted to share with you in part one and part two. What I wish I had known in my 20s and my early 30s, but more so in my 20s for life and love and all the lessons that I have learned. And I probably have so many much more to share with you, but these are some of the ones that I felt were very important. And let me know if any resonate with you, sharing on social media. Leave a 5-star review if you can of the podcast. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation on the Feminine Truth Podcast. This podcast is for you, for me, for us, for the Feminine Collective. Thank you for spending your time and energy with us. I so appreciate it. Please, it would mean so much if you could share this in your Instagram stories, in your Facebook stories, or everywhere so this message gets spread and others can find this podcast and this conversation. And if you feel like someone needs to hear this message, please share with them. I would be so grateful for you, and let us know your thoughts, how this has helped you, how you connected with this topic, or how this has felt in your body. And lastly, if you feel the pull, I would be immensely grateful if you could take the time to leave a review so more people can find my podcast and this conversation. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode.